Hello, so here we are with Luis Enrique's press conference. The game tomorrow is going to be very different to the one on Sunday at the Camp Nou. It's a different competition. No two games are the same. These are the quarterfinals against a difficult opponent at a difficult ground and with all the different situations that surround games of such characteristics. I'm not going to base the game on what happened at the weekend, because this is a game presumably where it's going to be 11 against 11, and that wasn't the situation on Sunday. Sorry, there's difficulties with the sound. I didn't quite get that question. But talking about Messi and saying that he took a bit of a knock, but it's not a serious injury, and we'll decide whether he plays on Wednesday or not.
No. Normalmente doy la convocatoria si les hago madrugar mucho el otro día por la mañana, pues les suelo dar el día anterior. Pero como mañana no tienen que madrugar, mañana nos juntamos todos.
So tomorrow he's going to make a decision on his squad selection.
Deies diumenge que habitualment no t'agrada arriscar amb els jugadors i encara menys amb Leo Messi. Tenint en compte que ha tingut aquestes molèsties, que ahir no es va entrenar perquè passava les proves, no sé si s'ha entrenat avui, però...
Asking again about Messi's injury.
Pero es una frase que no utilicé ayer o antes de ayer, pero siempre lo he hecho así.
He's denying that.
Como entrenador nunca me gusta arreglar con los jugadores. Todavía no ha llegado el caso de que un jugador que yo sepa arriesgue para jugar un partido. ¿Qué riesgo hay que tener con jugadores profesionales? Ninguno.
What kind of risk is there about playing a player if they're not injured? That's not a risk.
Y al equipo también. Si no, yo siempre soy partidario de no arriesgar.
I'm always.
En este caso puntual no hay lesión. Messi no tiene ninguna lesión, con lo cual.
He's insisting that Messi has got no injury, that he's able to train fine. All he's taken was a bit of a knock on Sunday, and it's nothing important. Talking about the appeal against Luis Suarez. And whether he's able to play tomorrow. They have to tell me whether he can play or not, and if he can, then he will do. Otherwise, he has to play he has to serve his suspension, and then he'll play the second leg. It depends on what announcement is made. Talking about Aruiz, who was suspended for the game on Sunday, and him returning for the game tomorrow. Yes, he's a very important player for them. He contributes a lot to their play, particularly aerial. They tend to play a lot of balls into the area, looking for his head. So now it's going to be a situation where they're going to be far more likely to win balls coming into the area. And he's a player that doesn't need a lot of space to score goals. He's not a youth player, he's a very experienced player, and he's a player that makes a big difference to the athletic setup. Asking about Neymar. No, he's better than I am. He says he's a lot of times after games players take little knocks and things, so he had to do some short recovery exercises, but it's nothing at all important. Did a bit of work in the gym. He's fine, he's perfect.
Hablas de esa acción que no es normal en un partido, penalti minuto 3.
Talking about the strange action at the weekend with the sending off after 3 minutes and the goalkeeper getting sent off. Whether that means that Sunday's game really is totally irrelevant. Well, we've analysed the situation, we've looked at it, but of course there's no guarantee that the same thing's going to happen after 5 minutes or 10 minutes. That certainly altered the way that we are going to look at the game, but obviously we still analyse the game on Sunday, and there's positive and negative things that we can take out of our analysis. And I insist it's very motivating to be playing in the quarterfinals of the Copa del Rey. You've been insisting that it's a different game, but surely Athletic playing with 10 men for so long has obviously tired them, and also it was a big knock for their morale. No, obviously I'm very happy that we won the league game so comfortably, but that could also be an incentive for the opponent. They're going to have players like Aduriz, for example, who's going to be coming fresh to the game, and the other players that they didn't play on Sunday, they'll be coming in fresh tomorrow, so let's see. It's definitely going to be difficult. But obviously we're very attracted about this game. We're the champions of this competition. It's a competition that we won last year, and to win games and to win trophies, we want games like this because they're the kind of things that help you to build the team spirit. Talking about the heated atmosphere perhaps in Bilbao tomorrow. Although, is that something that Barca are quite used to having to contend with? Yeah, we're used to those situations, but that doesn't mean to say it doesn't affect you. That's one of the curious things about football. For us, we need to turn these things into a stimulation, and the more heated the atmosphere at San Mamés, then the more we need to turn that around to us. I was surprised by the choice of referee tomorrow, but that was the choice. Now we need to go and try to play a good game and try to be superior to our opposition tomorrow.
Hola Luis Enrique, Ricardo Rossetti para Bein Sports España. Acabas de decir que te ha sorprendido la designación arbitral.
You said you were surprised about the choice of referee. What is it about González who you don't appreciate? Why do you think it's bad news for Barca? I said I was surprised, not that it was good or bad news. I was surprised because I think anybody in football would be surprised. Why? Okay. Because of the recent game? How can I say this without you turning my words around? No, whatever. Look, speaking generally, I know it's ugly, but I was surprised because I don't really think it's good news for the referee or for the teams because of the tension that it could theoretically generate around the game, and I think it would be important to manage this properly, because at the end of the day football is a spectacle, and what we want to do is to go out and put on a good show and for people to enjoy the football and not for people to be concentrating on refereeing issues that I don't think is going to be doing any good to anybody.
Sí que los comentarios digamos de prensa o de tertulia
Talking about general comments in the press,
bastante gente que empieza a decir que cuando Messi no está, Neymar
a lot of people are saying that Neymar plays much better or differently when Messi is not in the team. Is it just because if Messi's away, Neymar shines more, or do you use Neymar differently? Or perhaps does he feel more confident and play more spectacular football? I don't really get that feeling. If I did, I would speak about that. I'd have no problem. Messi, of course, is a wonderful player. Neymar, I think, is playing this year much better than last year. Last year was an incredible year for him. Whether or not Leo plays, the great thing we have in Barca at the moment is that we have such good forwards. Askeni, opponent. If they focus on one, then the other two are free. If they focus on two, there's still another one free. The whole of their defense has to concentrate on each of the different attackers and what they could be doing. That's one of the joys of this team. And all around, that's beneficial for the team in general. That's the grandness of this team. So let's not start nitpicking different issues. I've seen Neymar playing great when Leo's been on the pitch too. I've seen Luis playing brilliantly when the other two have been there. I don't really think I've got anything to say on that matter.
Ayer la Liga, como tú sabes, a definir la fecha de Barça y Sporting.
The date has been announced for the Sporting game. So you just got in March. There's not going to be much time for rest. So do you think it could be a disadvantage because you're not going to have some rest weeks because you've got to play that previously postponed game against Sporting? Look, the fixture list is what is put in front of us and we have to play the games. We're delighted that we've got so many games because that means that we're still alive in each of the different competitions. Of course, we need to manage things and the minutes of games correctly because we need to be at our best when it comes to the end of the season, but that's the fixture list. It's really a very packed fixture list. I would like to have more completely free weeks so that we can work on specific aspects, but we don't have that time, and that's just something that you have to learn to live with.
Hay la posibilidad, bueno, si no juega Suárez, si no juega Messi, la posibilidad que Neymar sea el único del tridente en el partido en un ambiente muy complicado de ser Mamés.
There's a chance that if neither Messi or Suárez play tomorrow, then Neymar's kind of on his own regarding the trident in what could be quite a hostile atmosphere. Talk about him developing as a technical footballer, but has he also developed psychologically to be able to deal with such situations? I'm sure you can answer that question better than I can because you're Brazilian, this reporter, and you've seen him for much longer than I am. You know how spectacular he is on the one-on-ones, the kind of fantasy magic football that he generates. I'm sure in Brazil you've been watching him for years and probably know better than I do how he's developed in the long term. But certainly in a sporting sense, match by match, he's just as important as he always has been. Let's see if he's going to be more or less spectacular, if he takes more or less risks. But I can tell you he's developed fantastically, both personally and mentally, but also in the way he's understanding the game. Messi is still at that stage where he wants to play as much as possible and you need to stop him a bit, or has he kind of realized that perhaps sometimes it's best to sit games out because of the fixture list? Well, ask him.
Hola Luis, Santi Valle del diario. Dicen, esta temporada hemos visto a Sergi Roberto en 7 posiciones.
Sergi Roberto has played in 7 different positions this season. Perhaps if he could comment on his versatility, and is there any other position he can play in? Well, when you can recognize a player can play in so many different positions, then there are certain positions that are easier for them than others. He could play at centre-back quite easily, very good. He's very quick at moving the ball between phases. He's very quick to adapt and to anticipate. He could quite easily play as a centre-back. He's played in all the different midfield positions. He can also play in the hole behind the attack. He's done that, in fact. I think apart from goalkeeper, he could play in any position. Certainly in a club like Barca, where we tend to have the ball for 60–70% of the game. And because he's got that profile, that intelligence, then I don't think it's any surprise to see him playing in any outfield position.
y porque los espacios que aparecen ahí, o puede ser
So
un
you
delantero
can,
de segunda línea.
when you've got a player that plays in the centre of the park, then he's a player that you can really drag back and play at fullback to even move forward into the attack. It's really not that spectacular that he can play in all these different positions. They're not so different. It's a question of being able to play well in those positions, and I think he can.
Ayer decía Sergio Busquets que el Atlético es más rival.
Sergio Busquets has said that Atletico Madrid are more of an opponent than Real Madrid at the moment. Would you agree?
Mi opinión es que el Atlético de Madrid está haciendo una temporada
I think Atletico Madrid are having a very good season, very similar to their previous seasons. They're definitely an important opponent, but they have been since the start of the season. I don't think it's anything new that they're one of the favourites for the league. They have always been since Simeone has been in charge of that team, but Real Madrid are always going to be an aspirant, a candidate to win the title, so don't count them out either.
Pregunto, no sé si le han preguntado ya últimamente, si es así, disculpas, sobre las jugadas de estrategia.
Talking about set pieces,
prácticamente no encaja goles, es decir, que
the
funciona.
team's really not letting in goals from set pieces, but perhaps not scoring goals from set pieces.
El último gol de córner fue el de
The last goal from a corner was against Cordoba by Piqué some time ago. Is that just coincidence, or is there perhaps a need to find a solution? Well, perhaps that's because teams are being more attentive about us from set pieces. We've been perhaps not scoring directly from corners, but building up from corners we have been doing. But we're always working to improve in all aspects, and if you ask any of the opponents that we play against, they'll say it's very difficult to stop us from set pieces. I'm not really worried about that. It's logical that you get certain droughts from those set plays, but we're always working on ways of causing damage to our opponents, and as the season progresses, I'm sure you're going to see us score from set pieces. We're doing the same kind of thing as we did last season.
Hola, Núria Casas, de 8 al dia. Tu o algun membre de l'estaf parla amb els jugadors sobre quina conducta han de tenir?
Talking about the staff and whether you talk to the players about how the players communicate with referees. What do you think? No, I'm asking, what do you think? And she's saying, I'm not a coach, I'd like you to tell me. And he goes, I'm not a journalist, so I don't know either. No, of course we speak about everything that's important for the game, both on and off the field. Of course we talk about everything, that's only logical. Okay, thank you. Apologies for the problems with the sound earlier on. I'm glad we got it sorted out. And tomorrow we'll be learning the squad first thing in the morning, and in the evening, of course, it's Athletic Bilbao in the Copa del Rey. Thank you for listening.